What's a fact that absolutely blew your mind? Oxford was founded in 1096. Oxford was founded 300 years before the Aztec Empire. Don't duck 'em up like this, not today. All the planets in our solar system can fit between the Earth and the Moon, with a little room to spare. A cup holder is technically cups for cups. That is a slippery slope. It's cups all the way down. Shakespeare invented words because there wasn't sufficient vocabulary for his time, I think. Out of the 1700 he invented, he made up critic, lonely, freezing, generous, glow, priceless, just to name a few. Whoa. John Tyler, who was US president until 1845, has a living grandchild. This is my perennial favorite. There is a guy walking around today whose grandfather was president of the US. 7 presidents before Abraham Lincoln. In the Middle Ages, European countries would put on real trials for animals. They were legitimate, with real defense attorneys. A sow and her piglets were put on trial for killing a 5-year-old kid. The sow was found guilty and put to death, but her piglets were acquitted because there was no evidence they took part. Sounds like a kangaroo court. Sharks have existed 100 million years before the first trees, 350 Maya and 250 Maya, and sharks have survived 4 of the 5-meter butt extinctions. The T-Rex existed closer in history to humans than to the Stegosaurus. Hi, Michael here. There is a light horizon in the universe, and we will never know what's beyond it. The funny thing, or maybe just terrifying thing, is that at some point in the far future, the light horizon will actually get smaller over time. This is because the universe is expanding faster than light can travel, and so that light will never make it to us, no matter how much time passes. And this phenomenon will only become more relevant, and someday won't even see your own nose. Giraffes have the same number of cervical vertebrae as humans do. That gravity isn't actually a force pulling you in toward an object, but more like the fabric of space pushing in around the object. That when you brush your teeth you're actually cleaning your skeleton. Gross. Thanks. Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than the completion of the Great Pyramid. I love facts like these. Like The Lion King was released closer to the moon landing than it is to now. Do you reply this to every comment? In America, 1 in 4 girls aged 13 to 19 currently has a sexually transmitted disease according to the CDC. Young women's bodies are biologically more prone to STDs. CDC. Then they should be more careful. The blue whale is not only the largest animal in the world currently, it is also the largest animal that has ever lived in the history of the earth, including all dinosaurs. And we are going to kill them. Tom Marvolo Riddle could not only be rearranged into IAN Lord Voldemort, but also Mr. Tom, a dildo lover. That is amazing. Jumping spiders have basically the same vision we do. They can see us and know when we are looking at them and like to show off. Jumping spiders are the only kind of spider that I as an arachnophobe like. They're fluffy, cute, and this fact cements that. Bro, what? How can you claim to be arachnophobic, but not fear the furry little 8-legged beasts that launch themselves with pinpoint accuracy at your face when you get anywhere near them? There's no certainty that the universe can't end in the next 10 seconds. I read this comment and counted to 10 and now I'm still here. I want my money back. You sound American. Like old movies? Shrek came out 20 years ago. If you pretend to shake an invisible salt shaker onto your tongue, you'll actually start to taste salt. I just tried this wordlessly in front of my mom. Duck bow. That if you go really fast, time dilates. Not just theoretically in an arbitrary situation. GPS satellite clocks need to take account and compensate for the fact that we observe the time passing a bit slower for the satellite, in reference to the Earth time. Same fashion. Photons travel at the speed of light. Time stops at the speed of light, so the instant a photon is produced on the sun it is also instantly striking the Earth. From the view of the photon, I think I've got that right. But it takes about 8 minutes for sunlight to reach Earth. Light has a speed. I don't get what you're saying. You never actually touch anything, due to physics and all that jazz. Well yeah. Unless you define touch as the point at which tactile sensation is noticeable by human perception via the electromagnetic forces and quantum mechanics of atoms. You are not wrong. But I love you. Science. Michael Jordan never got past the first round of the playoffs without Scottie Pippen as a teammate. He got past them big ol' women in San Antonio. George W. Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, was director of a banking corporation that managed the assets of Fritz Thyssen, who was the primary steel supplier to the Nazis in WWII. Bush was also one of the earliest angel investors for Planned Parenthood. Bush in general is a shitshow actually. I'm pretty sure even the staunchest Republicans would see how stupid his actions were. The Beatles were only together for 7 years. Edit. As somebody else pointed out, they were technically together for 8 years. But they released all of their albums in a 7-year stretch, releasing 2 albums a year for many of those years. What? That actually blows my mind. It always felt like they were together for decades. And they were officially ended at Walt Disney World. Lennon was the last person who had to sign the paperwork, but on vacation in WDW at the time. He had the papers delivered to his hotel room at the Polynesian Village Resort, and then he signed it. That NASA recruited Nazi scientists. Pluto has not completed a full rotation around the sun since its discovery, and won't until Monday, March 23rd, 2178. Well, recently I had found out that Cillian Murphy, who I watched in Batman, also plays Thomas Shelby. Today I found out the actor Cillian Murphy, from Peaky Blinders, was also in Batman, also in Inception. That the faster you travel, the slower time moves for you. Is that why it takes so long to get home from work on Fridays? Netflix is older than Google. At one point, around 2010, Netflix was responsible for over half of all internet traffic in the US between 5 PM and midnight. Back when there was one streaming service to rule them all. You can go the rest of your life without drinking any water. Koalas have 2 thumbs on each hand. Stripper poles are spinning. The majority of the time yes, but not always. Most poles can be put on static. There are some spins and tricks that can only be done on a static pole. If you ever watch a competition performance and there are 2 poles on stage, one will be on spin and one will be on static. If there's only one pole on stage then it's almost always on spin. Thanks for the info, but I thought they were all static, so my mind is still blown. A golf ball has 300 to 500 dimples. I mean, how do they even fit? 3 dimensions increases volume more than most people realize. Suppose you have a huge amount of boxes and want to arrange them all into a big cube. You make each side 100 boxes long. Believe it or not, the finished cube will contain 1,000,000 boxes. In video games, virtual lamps run on real electricity. That a very loud minority of people can have an awful impact on movies, television, web page content, laws, and even the government itself. This loud minority is also responsible for most of the world's problems. Ohio does indeed exist, and don't you ever forget us. Today I learned that the tides are always there, bulging between the sun and moon, and the earth basically rotates into them. If you think the moon controls the oceans, that's lunacy. Lunacy is a Japanese rock band with really good music. Queen Elizabeth II has been in power for 27.4% of the United States' existence. She's been in power 67 years and the US has been around for 244 years. She's also the longest reigning monarch ever. As of last year, Ninja Reddit, of any country, any monarch, anywhere in the world. Not true. Actual monarch alive maybe, but not ever. See Louis XIV of France, Rama IX of Thailand and Johann XII Liechtenstein. Longest verified reign of any monarch goes to Subhusa of Eswatini/Swaziland with a mind-boggling reign of almost 83 years length. That you can snort gunpowder. You can snort anything really. Here kitty. That narwhals do in fact exist, and it's not a horn, but a tooth protruding through their head. A scientist predicted an element that was found like 10 years after he died. I predict that an element with one more proton in its nucleus, that any known to currently exist, will be found and/or synthesized sometime in the future. Bam. I'm a genius. But how many neutrons will it have? The prediction that new element with another proton will exist is only possible because of the way the periodic table was organized. No more than 2 to 3% of cancer research money is spent on prevention. I'm guessing most is spent on understanding what causes cancer and how to treat it. LBJ had an aquatic car that he would use to take diplomats. When they visited, he would then proceed to shout about the brakes not working before plowing it into a lake, only to reveal after the ordeal it can drive in lakes, scaring the shit out of officials. He also named his penis Jumbo and would take it out at parties. The last American Civil War veterans died in the mid-1950s. If I remember, there are spouse payments from the government to the kids still going on or something. Yeah, a veteran's child who was declared disabled, if I remember right. But I think that child passed some time in the last few years. The Templars had the first banking system. Templars. Glue is made from horses. Vegans can't eat glue. Vegans technically shouldn't even drink water. There's microorganisms in everything. The fact I lost Russian roulette. Barcodes don't scan the black bars. They scan the spaces between them. If you get a wasp drunk, they will sting anything and everything they can until they sober up or die. Fact, don't care about my feelings. We are closer to the year 2040 than we are to 2000. If a pinhead was made out of a neutron star, it would weigh as much as 9 Empire State Buildings, if I remember right. You'll never see your own face. Not true, it just depends on how badly you want to see it. That am not a mistake. Giraffe kicks can behead people. The Australia isn't real jokes, they aren't actually jokes. Killer Queen has already touched your brain. Click. It was back in 3rd grade when I learned that a cylinder surface area is the circumference of the circle times 2 times height of the cylinder. The Byzantine Empire is just the Eastern Roman Empire. Always thought they were different empires. Horses are assholes. I have seen a YouTube vid of a horse nonchalantly eat a bird. I do not like horses at all. It has places for ice skating in my country. I'm from a tropical country. A gherkin is really a cucumber. The band 9 Inch Nails refers to the nails put through Jesus, not just long nails. Kinda reminds me of when I found out what the name 6 feet under really meant in everyday English. This fact often blows people's minds in therapy, so I'm going to share it here. I think the main reason it blows people's minds is because we are socialized to be told that we should control our emotions or to stop thinking that way. Parenting is heading towards teaching kids healthy expressions of emotions over just stop it. Fact, you cannot control your emotions. You cannot control your thoughts. You can control your behavior by managing your behavioral responses to thoughts and feelings. You can influence your thoughts and feelings to change. No emotional thought lasts forever, and dropping the struggle to control or change the uncontrollable allows the thoughts and emotions to be but quicker. The first skill I get clients to try is to notice thoughts and emotions. Take a moment and literally say, I'm noticing that I'm worrying about my health, or I'm noticing that I'm thinking negatively about the work day ahead. Simply starting to notice and acknowledge that it is happening is an immediate behavior change that gives you that chance to then start thinking about what can I do instead? What reaction supports the life I want? It all gets really nuanced from there, but a super accessible self-help book, The Happiness Trap, is an ACT-based book, and this post idea is based on ACT. There are more trees than stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Not mine, but his. JFK assassination. Manga was inspired by a Scrooge McDuck comic found by a Japanese soldier during WW2. Diseases are caused by microorganisms. It totally blew my mind that the thing screwing my internal organs was a group of sentient living beings that have to die for my survival. Also, tardigrades can survive in volcanic regions and can somehow breathe in space. Apparently they recycle the air they just breathe out, like a weird airbender. Humans don't actually die from old age. They die from illnesses that inhabit their body the older they get and stuff. So humans are practically immortal in that category. A giraffe has approximately 1 inch of tongue for every 1 foot of height. We are all learning the wrong trigonometry. The chances that you will find a razor blade in your next bite of food is never zero. You can fit a whole raccoon in your ass. A 44 mangum. If a university or college burned down / completely destroyed, all currently enrolled students graduate in their respective fields. Not gonna lie, I have pondered on the idea of burning my university when drunk or high. There are more tigers in captivity in Texas than there are in the wild. Probably not the right answer, but when I was 12, I had a friend who had extremely abusive parents. It was so bad. He told me he would kill them in a week. Sure. Not even 2 days later, he tied his parents to their bed while they were sleeping and set the bed on fire. Not the house, just the bed. He was not charged with anything or even punished as he was a minor. I'm in no way supportive of the rape, forced filming, and beating that he endured, but I feel so bad for his parents. Not even the worst person in the world deserves to die like that. Yes, I lived in a horrible area until I was 20. It'll probably get downvoted for this, but I 100% don't feel bad for his parents. Black apple exist. Homework backwards is a Latin word. Cramo, meaning child abuse. USA dropping more bombs on Vietnam than the entirety of bombs dropped during WW2. That Timbuktu was a place. I literally thought it was a human. I question why I'm so stupid. The color orange is named after the fruit. The following people were all born in the same year, 1929. Ed Asner, Barbara Walters, Bob Newhart, Martin Luther King Jr., and Frank. And when they were all born, Betty White was 7. Based on scientific measurements, our universe is flat. Octopi have 3 hearts. When stars die, they can emit more energy in a few seconds than our sun will in its whole lifetime. Less time separates humans and the T-Rex than separates the T-Rex and Stegosaurus. Cats have whiskers on their ankles. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.